A gorgeous new transfer girl arrived at our high school, boldly bragging to everyone that she'd get my childhood sweetheart, Ethan, into her bed within 3 months. Ethan merely gave her a freezing glare and called her delusional. Then he grabbed my hand tightly, pulling me close as he whined like a spoiled puppy. Everyone knows I've been yours since we were in diapers. Daisy, the transfer girl, chased him relentlessly all the way until winter break. But Ethan never gave her the time of day. Until the party right before the spring semester started. Ethan got completely wasted and I had to drive him home. He mumbled my name the entire ride. My heart fluttered looking at his handsome sleeping face. I decided to steal a quick kiss. This was going to be my first kiss, but the second my lips brushed his hand shot out, walking around my waist. His voice was incredibly husky. Babe, why so shy this time? No tongue. I froze instantly. Ethan's kiss was deep and intense. His movements weren't clumsy at all. In fact, he kissed like an absolute pro. He said, this time, who was the last time? Before I could even ask, he let me go. Ethan was too drunk to keep his eyes open. He let out a low groan, his brow furrowing slightly. Silly girl, still haven't learned how to breathe. Did I teach you all those times for nothing? I took a sharp breath, placing my hand against his cheek to push him back. My fingertips were trembling violently, but I forced myself to stay calm. Ethan, look at me. Who am I? Ethan went quiet, squinting his eyes to look at me. I never expected those few seconds of waiting to be so torturous. An answer was already screaming in my head, but I wanted to hear it from his own mouth. Ethan slapped his own cheeks, then pinched mine, mumbling drunkenly, babe, why are you still in my dreams? Daisy, you're so much better in my dreams. You actually let me kiss you whenever I want. My eyelashes fluttered hearing my name. The icy dread in my chest melted away instantly. So he thought he was dreaming. Ethan cupped my face, his warm, wet lips pressing against mine again. Babe, breathe, don't choke up and blush like you did last time. He coaxed me gently between kisses, whispering all the pet names he had always used for me. After he finished kissing me, he collapsed back onto the bed, burying his face under the duvet as if he were suddenly shy. Damn, it felt so real this time. I sat by his bedside, my lips pressed into a thin line. After a few seconds, I stood up. Whatever, Ethan was an idiot, but he had chased me his entire life. If there was something going on, he wouldn't be able to keep it a secret from me anyway. My parents weren't home today. I pulled out my phone to order some takeout on DoorDash, but the screen flickered and died out of battery. Too lazy to grab my charger, I reached for Ethan's phone instead. His lock screen was still my latest selfie. Ethan always claimed he got bored of things easily, so he insisted on receiving at least 3 new different photos of me every week. Otherwise, he'd throw a tantrum and ignore me. He was incredibly high maintenance. I used to tease him about it, saying if he got bored so easily, why had he only loved me for so many years? He would just shrug and smile, well, I just love loving you. But when I pressed my thumb against the home button, it read fingerprint. Try again. Out of the 5 registered fingerprints on his phone, 1 was his and the other 4 had always been mine. I tried every single one of my fingers. All failed. Did he delete them by accident? No, Ethan wouldn't do that. I tried entering his passcode. My birthday. He had used this passcode for years. He would never change it. Incorrect passcode. Just then, his screen lit up with a notification from Snapchat. It was a photo sent by Chloe, the transfer girl who had been chasing him for months. 2. My grip on the phone tightened. I wondered, when did they even add each other on Snapchat? Didn't Ethan hate her guts? Honestly, Ethan had always had plenty of admirers, but he was naturally arrogant, sharp-tongued, and his blatant favoritism toward me made most girls give up eventually. Chloe was the only one who had persisted this long. She was also the only one who could genuinely piss Ethan off. Once after school, Chloe cornered me in the hallway. She looked at me coldly and said, Daisy, you and Ethan aren't officially dating, right? May the best woman win. Then she was dripping with hostility. Before I could even open my mouth, Ethan grabbed my backpack, slinging it over his shoulder with practiced ease. He handed me a warm cup of coffee. Then wrapped my scarf and beanie securely around me. Usually Ethan was quite playful, but that evening the air around him was freezing. He took my hand, his tall frame shielding me completely from Chloe. He said coldly. She doesn't need to compete with you because I'm the one begging for her attention. We aren't dating yet, but she is my future wife. On the walk home that night, Ethan didn't say a word. I couldn't help but poke his cheek. What's wrong with you? Ethan's eyes were slightly red. He pinched my cheek in frustration. Aren't you even a little jealous? Another girl literally threatened you. You had 0 reaction. Do you even like me at all? Oh. So that was why I shook my head no, because I know I'm the only one in your heart. Ethan's lips curved up, clearly pleased by my answer. He squeezed my hand tighter. I can't wait for us to graduate. Daisy. I want to make you my official girlfriend so bad. I lowered my gaze, remembering what Ethan's mother, Mrs. Carter, had told me in secret. Daisy, Ethan has loved you since you were kids. I don't object to you two being together, but can you promise me one thing? Don't officially date him until after graduation. I squeezed Ethan's hand back, thinking, Ethan. Just wait for me a little longer. We only have 1 semester left. I put Ethan's phone down and went downstairs to my bedroom, the room I had lived in for over 10 years. When I was 3, my parents got a divorce. My mother, Sarah, took me with her and started working as a live-in housekeeper for Ethan's family. Since Ethan and I were the same age, we basically grew up together. As a kid, Ethan always had this aloof, do not cross vibe. I was pretty terrified of him, but I'd still politely call him Ethan. He never acknowledged the nickname, but he would always drag me along whenever he played with his friends. I guess I was a cute kid because one day, one of his friends asked Ethan if he could have me as his girlfriend. Normally indifferent, Ethan snapped. He tackled the boy to the ground and snarled, "Fuck off." That was the first time I saw him angry. The first time I heard him swear. On the walk back, I timidly trailed behind him, calling his name. His anger hadn't faded. He turned around and yelled at me for the first time in his life, "Stop calling me that. We're just friends." I was so scared that I avoided him for days, till he finally cornered me. His voice had softened, and his usual nickname for me was born, Daisy. "Are you stupid? Friends don't get married. I want to be your husband." I had stood there frozen, my heart pounding wildly. I had thought he tolerated me. Me. He even disliked me. I never imagined he loved me. After that confession, Ethan became completely shameless about showing his affection. His love was loud, proud, and passionate. To the point where everyone in our circle knew Ethan Carter would only ever marry one person, Daisy. But tonight, I couldn't stop the doubts from creeping in. His natural pride, just kissing skills, the way he called me babe, and that Snapchat photo from Chloe that I couldn't unlock. 3. The next morning was the first day of the new semester. My mom had taken a month off to visit family, and Ethan's parents were away on a business trip. Only Ethan and I were left in the house. I had been tossing and turning all night, so I overslept. The moment I rushed out of my room, I bumped straight into Ethan's chest. A faint scent of sweet citrus washed over me. I sniffed, asking subconsciously, "Did you change your body wash?" He had always insisted on using the exact same body wash as me. He hadn't changed it in years. Even when we went out yesterday, he still smelled like my lavender body wash. Ethan's Adam's apple bobbed. He gave a quiet, dismissive grunt. He clearly didn't want to explain. I made breakfast. "Let's get to school first." I took the breakfast bag from him, biting my lip. "My mom told me to take care of you." Ethan grabbed my wrist, letting out a soft laugh. "You literally threw me onto the bed last night and ran away." I seized the opportunity. "I was going to order food, but my phone died, and you changed your passcode." Ethan paused for a split second, then explained smoothly, "Some guys at school guessed my passcode was your birthday. It wasn't safe. You know, my phone is packed with your photos. I'd go crazy if anyone saw them." "Oh," I murmured. He continued, "I changed it to the date I first confessed to you." I nodded, but a nagging thought lingered. Even so, did he really have to delete my fingerprints? Before I could ask, Ethan tossed his phone into my lap and leaned his head against the car window. Closing his eyes. "See for yourself. It's rare for you to actually check up on me. At least it means you finally care a little." I never used to do things like this, but today I was consumed by anxiety. I unlocked his phone and opened Snapchat. Chloe's contact name was gone. I tossed the phone back onto his lap. "I saw Chloe send you a photo yesterday. Now she's not even on your friend list." Ethan replied casually, "Oh, yeah, she sent some nude photo." I blocked and deleted her immediately. A nude? My throat felt tight. I wanted to ask him why he had even added her in the first place. Didn't he despise her? But I felt like I had no right to ask. Who was I to him? Everyone else thought I was being dramatic, playing hard to get when Ethan was practically worshipping the ground I walked on. But Ethan's mother had taken my mom and me in when we had nothing. We owed her everything. Since she asked me to wait until graduation, I was going to keep my promise. Besides, it was only a few more months. We would be together soon anyway. Daisy, when I accepted her request, I didn't know it was her account, and said, showing me his lock screen, his eyes were warm and sincere. It just disgusted me. She doesn't have a fraction of my Daisy's cuteness. Once we reached the classroom, Ethan sat next to me, as usual. He smoothly unpacked my favorite snacks and various little things I might need from his backpack. He had always taken care of me with this level of meticulous detail. Chloe was the last to enter the classroom. Despite the freezing winter weather, she wore a tight top, a thin jacket, and a tiny mini skirt. Chewing gum loudly, she tossed her backpack onto the desk right across the aisle from Ethan. Ethan's pen paused. He glanced at me. "Daisy, let's swap seats." Chloe raised her chin and scoffed, slinking into her seat. I moved to Ethan's original seat. The moment I sat down, a strong scent of sweet citrus hit my nose. It was the exact same scent as Ethan's new body wash, only on her it was much stronger. 4. During the first period of study hall, I forced myself to focus on my math problems, telling myself not to overthink. Suddenly, a folded note landed on my desk. It was from Chloe. I hesitated, then opened it. "He smells like me, doesn't he?" My heart sank. I crumpled the note into a ball and threw it angrily at Ethan. Ethan, who was busy compiling my practice mistakes, looked up in surprise. He slowly unfolded the paper. The moment his eyes scanned the words, his knuckles turned white. Muttering a curse, Ethan grabbed my wrist and dragged me out of the classroom. The teacher yelled after us, but Ethan ignored him, leaving our names to be written on the board at the end of the hallway. I yanked my hand away. What is your problem? What lies did she tell you now? Ethan hissed. I bit my lip. She didn't lie. You two smell exactly the same. Ethan let out a heavy sigh, running a hand through his hair. Don't listen to her BS, Daisy. I ran into her at the grocery store 2 days ago when I went to buy your snacks. She probably saw me buying that body wash. She bought the same one just to mess with you. It felt like too much of a coincidence, but I chose to believe him. Ethan wouldn't lie to me. Fine, I didn't say anything. Let's go back. Ethan reached for my hand, but I instinctively flinched away. I was distracted for the rest of the day, making silly mistakes on simple calculus questions. On the ride home, Ethan didn't hold my hand or speak to me for the first time. Usually, the walk from the classroom to the parking lot was his prime time to whine and cling to me. I actually loved listening to his endless chatter. It was such a contrast to his cold persona in public. It was cute. But today, he just kept staring at his phone. With his long legs and wide strides, he completely forgot to slow down for me, leaving me trailing far behind. I clutched my backpack straps and jogged to keep up. That night, Ethan brought a mug of warm milk to my room. He leaned against the doorframe, watching me drink it. Then, tossing his messy hair back, he smiled softly. Can I have a hug? I nodded. Since we had already kissed last night. A simple hug didn't seem like too much. I walked over and stepped into his arms. But the scent that filled my nose wasn't the citrus from earlier. It was my lavender body wash. Hadn't he changed his body wash? The moment that thought flashed through my mind, Ethan tightened his arms around me. What are you thinking so hard about? He asked, resting his chin lightly on top of my head. I hesitated. You smell like lavender again. His body went still for half a second. I showered. With my body wash? Yeah. He pulled back just enough to look at me, expression unusually serious. Daisy, if this is about Chloe, I swear there's nothing between us. I wanted to believe him. I really did. So I nodded. Ethan smiled in obvious relief, kissed the top of my head, and left my room. But after the door clicked shut, I realized something that made my stomach twist. He hadn't answered why he had changed body washes in the first place. 5. The next few days were strange. Not terrible. Not dramatic. Just, off. Ethan still brought me breakfast every morning. He still carried my backpack when it looked too heavy. He still stole fries off my lunch tray and complained that I wasn't eating enough. To everyone else, he was the same hopelessly obsessed Ethan Carter. But I started noticing tiny things. He checked his phone more often. He stepped out to answer calls. He occasionally looked distracted when I was talking. And every time Chloe walked into a room, his jaw tightened. That last part should have reassured me. Instead, it made me uneasy. Friday afternoon. Our class was dismissed early for basketball practice. I stayed behind to finish a chemistry worksheet. When I finally packed up, the hallway was nearly empty. As I turned the corner toward the gym, I heard voices. Ethan's voice. And Chloe's. I stopped instinctively. I already told you to stop. Ethan sounded irritated. Then stop looking at me like that, Chloe replied. You're imagining things. Am I? She laughed softly. You didn't seem disgusted at the party. My breath caught. There was a long silence. Then Ethan spoke, low and dangerous. That night should never have happened. The world tilted. My fingers went numb around my notebook. That night. Should never have happened. Before I could hear anything else, footsteps approached. I panicked and hurried away before they turned the corner. The game. Ethan played terribly. He missed easy shots. Fouled twice. Nearly argued with the referee. During halftime, he kept searching the bleachers until his eyes found me. Usually I'd smile and wave. Tonight I looked away. His expression darkened immediately. After the game. He caught up to me in the parking lot. Daisy. I kept walking. Daisy, stop. He grabbed my wrist gently. What's wrong? I stared at him for a long moment. What happened at the party? For the first time in years, Ethan looked completely caught off guard. What party? The one before spring semester. The night you got drunk. His eyes flickered. That tiny reaction told me everything. You remember. Daisy. You said Chloe's name when you kissed me. My voice shook despite my best efforts. You knew exactly who you were talking to. Ethan's face went pale. I was drunk. But you remember. Silence. Cold winter wind whipped through the parking lot. Finally, he closed his eyes briefly. Yeah, he admitted. The word hit harder than I expected. Did you sleep with her? His head snapped up instantly. No. The answer came so fast that I believed it. But relief didn't come. Because there was still something there. Something he wasn't telling me. Then what happened? Ethan ran both hands through his hair, looking more frustrated than I'd ever seen him. Nothing happened. You just told her it should never have happened. Because she kissed me. I froze. What? His jaw clenched. At the party. I was drunk. She pulled me aside and kissed me before I pushed her away. My chest tightened painfully. Why didn't you tell me? Ethan looked at me for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was rough. Because I was terrified you'd look at me the way you're looking at me right now. The parking lot suddenly felt too quiet. For years, Ethan had been the one person I never doubted. And now I didn't know which hurt more. The fact that Chloe had kissed him. Or the fact that he had kept it from me. Ethan took a careful step closer. Daisy, listen to me. I didn't want her. I never wanted her. His eyes were red, almost desperate. The only reason I accepted that stupid friend request was because I thought it was someone from the basketball team. The second I realized it was her, I should have blocked her immediately. I know that. He swallowed hard. I messed up. But I swear on everything, I have never chosen Chloe over you. Not once. I looked at him, the boy who had loved me loudly for 15 years, the boy who carried my backpack and memorized my snack order and called me his future wife before either of us knew what that meant. And for the first time I realized something terrifying. Loving someone for a long time didn't make them incapable of hurting you. I need time, I whispered. Ethan's expression cracked. But he nodded. Okay. Then, very softly, like he was afraid the words might break me further, he added. Just don't leave me before I get the chance to fix this. And that was the moment I understood. The real problem wasn't Chloe. The real problem was that for the first time in our lives, Ethan Carter had something to hide from me. Ethan kept his promise. He didn't chase after me. He didn't grab my hand. He didn't bombard me with messages. For the next 3 days, he only sent one text every morning. Good morning, Daisy. Eat breakfast. And one every night. Good night. Sleep well. No excuses. No pleading. No guilt trips. That somehow made it worse. 6. By Monday, the entire school had noticed something was wrong. The golden couple had a fight? I've never seen Ethan Carter eat lunch without Daisy. Did they actually break up? Even Chloe seemed surprised. She watched Ethan from across the cafeteria. Usually he'd be feeding me fries or stealing bites off my plate. Today he sat alone, barely touching his food. His eyes wandered toward me every few seconds before he forced himself to look away. After school, coach announced basketball practice had been cancelled. As everyone packed up, Chloe suddenly stood in front of my desk. We should talk. I looked at her. I don't have anything to say to you. You will after this. She slid an envelope onto my desk. Inside were several printed photographs. My heart stopped. The first picture showed Ethan sitting on a couch at the party. Completely drunk. The second showed Chloe kneeling beside him. The third showed her kissing him. My fingers tightened around the photos. There wasn't a single picture of Ethan kissing her back. His eyes were closed in every shot. The final picture made everything clear. It showed Ethan suddenly shoving Chloe away so hard she stumbled backward into a table. His expression was furious. He looked ready to throw her out of the house. I frowned. If you're trying to make me jealous. I'm not finished. She handed me another sheet. It was a screenshot of a text conversation. Chloe, I can't believe you pushed me. Ethan, stay away from me. Chloe, she'll never know. Ethan, if Daisy gets hurt because of this, I'll make sure you regret it. There were no more replies after that. I looked up. Chloe wasn't smiling anymore. Instead, she looked annoyed. I wanted him to panic, she admitted. Most guys would hide something like that forever. He almost did. Yeah. She rolled her eyes. But he blocked me the next morning. I stared at her. So why are you showing me this now? Her lips curled bitterly. Because I lost. I blinked. He never once looked at me the way he looks at you. He looked at me like I was a mosquito. She laughed once, humorlessly. I even changed my perfume. Bought the same body wash. Sent him pictures. Tried everything. Nothing worked. She looked directly into my eyes. You know what he said when I asked why? My throat felt dry. She smiled bitterly. He said, you keep trying to become Daisy. But Daisy never has to become anyone for me. Silence filled the classroom. Then Chloe stuffed her hands into her pockets. I kissed him because he was drunk. I knew he couldn't react fast enough. I wanted proof I got closer than you. She let out a long sigh. But I was wrong. He shoved me away before he even opened his eyes. She shrugged. So, congratulations. I guess I really did lose. With that, she walked out. Leaving the photographs behind. I sat there for several minutes. Then I picked up my phone. Come to the old playground. I sent it to Ethan. He replied almost instantly. I'm coming. No questions. No hesitation. Just 2 words. As if he'd been waiting beside his phone for days. 20 minutes later, I saw him running across the empty playground. He was still in his basketball uniform. His hair was messy. He was breathing hard. He must have sprinted the entire way. The moment he saw me, he slowed down. Like he was afraid I'd disappear if he moved too quickly. I saw Chloe, I said quietly. His face drained of color. I know about the pictures. He closed his eyes. Okay. I know she kissed you. Yeah. I know you pushed her away. His eyes opened. Surprise flashed across his face. You, no? I nodded. For several seconds neither of us spoke. Finally, Ethan laughed weakly. A tired, relieved laugh. I should have told you. You should have. I was scared. I know. He rubbed the back of his neck. I've never hidden anything from you before. And the first time I did, I almost lost you. He looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. I don't care if you get angry. I don't care if you yell. But please. His voice cracked. Don't shut me out. I looked at him for a long moment. Then I stepped forward. Not into a hug. Just close enough to gently poke his forehead. You really are an idiot. A tiny smile appeared on his face. The biggest. You let that secret grow until it became something much uglier. He nodded immediately. I know. You don't get to decide what I can or can't forgive. Another nod. I know. I sighed. Next time something happens. His answer came before I finished. I tell you immediately. No matter how embarrassing. No matter how scared I am. I studied his face. For once, there wasn't a trace of pride left in Ethan Carter. Just honesty. And regret. I finally held out my hand. He stared at it for a second, almost afraid to touch it. When he finally did, he held it carefully, as though it were something precious he'd nearly broken. A smile slowly spread across his face. Small. Genuine. Hopeful. It was the first real smile either of us had worn in days. Spring break arrived. Ethan's parents returned home. Mrs. Carter took one look at us during dinner and frowned. You two fought? Ethan answered first. My fault. Mrs. Carter blinked. My son admitted he was wrong? Mr. Carter nearly dropped his fork. The world really is ending. Even I laughed. That night Mrs. Carter knocked on my bedroom door. Daisy. She sat beside me. I told you to wait until graduation because I wanted Ethan to mature. She sighed. I didn't expect him to make such a stupid mistake anyway. You knew? Ethan confessed everything the day after the party. I stared at her. He cried. I almost choked. Ethan? Mrs. Carter nodded. He kept saying, I didn't do anything, but I still betrayed Daisy by hiding it. He wanted to tell you immediately. I stopped him. What? I thought if Chloe kept making trouble, we'd gather evidence first. She looked guilty. I misjudged how much damage silence would do. The next Monday, Chloe made one last move. During lunch she stood up in the cafeteria. Ethan. The entire room looked over. She smiled confidently. Tell everyone. Weren't you the one who kissed me at the party? The cafeteria exploded with whispers. Everyone stared at Ethan. He stood up calmly. Sure. Chloe smiled. Then Ethan continued. You drugged me with extra alcohol. You dragged me into an empty room. You kissed me without my consent. You took photos while I couldn't even stand. You've been using those photos to harass Daisy for months. Her smile vanished. The cafeteria fell silent. Ethan pulled out his phone. I've already given the screenshots, security footage, and witness statements to the principal. And my family's lawyer has contacted yours. If you say one more lie about me or Daisy, I'll see you in court. Chloe's face turned completely white. By the end of the day, the truth had spread through the entire school. Several students admitted Chloe had asked them to secretly take pictures at the party. Another student admitted she bragged about staging the kiss. The school suspended her pending a disciplinary hearing. Within a week, her family quietly transferred her to another school. No goodbye. No dramatic exit. She simply disappeared. Graduation arrived 2 months later. As soon as the ceremony ended, Ethan walked straight toward Mrs. Carter. So? She folded her arms. So what? You said after graduation. Mrs. Carter laughed. I did. She looked at me. Daisy. I have no objections anymore. Before I could react, Ethan spun around so fast he nearly tripped over his gown. He dropped to one knee in front of everyone. His ears were bright red. He pulled a tiny velvet box from his pocket. Everyone gasped. Daisy. I know we're only 18. So this isn't an engagement ring. He opened the box. Inside was a simple silver promise ring. I've wanted to ask this for 15 years. Will you finally be my girlfriend? The entire graduating class started chanting. Say yes. Say yes. I laughed so hard tears came out. You've been calling me your future wife since kindergarten. I know. You've introduced me as your wife to strangers. I know. You cried because another boy wanted to hold my hand in 4th grade. I know. I slipped the ring onto my finger. Then yes. Before anyone could cheer, Ethan wrapped me in the biggest hug of my life. I win. He shouted so loudly birds flew out of the nearby trees. I finally won. Mr. Carter covered his face. Mrs. Carter sighed. He waited 15 years for a single word. I smiled into Ethan's shoulder. For someone who had loved me his whole life. I figured waiting a few extra